Good morning and happy Monday. Welcome back to the Daily Grind. I'm your host, Chum Change. This is live and recorded, and I feel like I'm echoing really bad. I moved my entire computer setup. As you guys can see, I'm in a different spot. So if I sound echoey, I apologize. I got to get some noise canceling stuff going in here. Anyways, let's see who's in the chat, and then we'll get into this. Mr. Big Black, what's up, buddy? Leo Lustig, my man. We have Steven Cicero, Nerd Beast, Lawnmower Man. Good morning, sir. No echo for you guys. All right. I could just hear it through my headphones. It's weird. It's like it's very strange. Anyways, Steven Cicero, what's up, dude? I already say that. Dan R, I hope you feel better, man. That sucks. That really sucks. Cape Cod Crypto, Mr. Max Voltage. Perfect. In the house, my man. Good to see you. John Germain, Alexander. Let's see, Jim C, Leo Lustig. I was finally able to use the desk mat you sent me. I'm not going to pick it up, but I appreciate you. Thank you. If you want to drop a link to your store, please feel free. All right, let's get into today. See what we're looking like if I did not. All right, hold on. Apparently that's not set. Give me a second. Oh man, if my computer freezes, I'm gonna be really upset. All right, I unplugged things, obviously, and I forgot to check this scene. Give me 1 second. Let me figure this out. Where is the window? This is the worst part about moving my computer. I freaking hate it. It drives me nuts. I gotta go to this scene. See, it like changes my display capture, which I don't understand why. Nope. There we go. All right. There we go. How's that? Much better. Everything looks good. All right. Bitcoin 62,365 bucks. We have Ethereum at 3166. Solana looking at 135 bucks. Not too bad. We got Matic 70 cents. Let's see, LTC 83 bucks. Man, everything is on sale today. We have ETC at $27. Caspa at 11 cents. Terrible, but it's a good buying opportunity, at least in my opinion. Let's see, ADA 45 cents. Another good buying opportunity. Let's see, ARB is down 5.67% to $1, just about $1.05. Crazy. IMX $2. Everything looks really sale-ish right now, put it that way. Let's see. If you guys have anything to say in the chat, please feel free to at me. Sorry, I'm a little off this morning because man, this is weird. This is weird for me to be in a new place. All right, HNT is up on the day 13.7%. What is this one? Wormhole. We have this one up 7.3% on the day, 63 cents. What's HNT at actually? $5.22 for HNT. Crazy. We have Celestia down 7.1% on the day to $9.56. What's the biggest loser? Is that it? Nope. Maker is down 8.8%. That coin is 2,786 bucks. Bruh. What in the hell? Let's see. Render down 4.3% today is $7.71. Pendle is down 6.5% to $5.17. Feels like your first day in a new classroom, dude. You know what it is? My screens, I separated them more so they're not as close together, and my desk is massive now, so I have no chance of knocking a cup off the end of the table. So it's nice. It's different though. I can hear the echo. That's really bothering me. All right, flashbang. Moving on to Fear and Greed Index, looking like a 67. This is fantastic. We've been holding down below the 75 mark for about a month, or probably 3 weeks right at this point. But yeah, it's looking really good, guys. I don't see anything to give us concern that we're gonna have a giant pullback, but this usually like a sell in May and go away. So I don't know. Sounds good on your end. Yeah, it's just on my end that I can hear it. All right, let's see top 10 coins. Or actually, let's check out the trending coins. We have Brett over here down 17.5% today. We have Dogwoof Hat up 0.7%, and IQ, whatever this is, up 11.4%. This is a new coin. What is this? Where? Oh god, it's not new at all. What? This coin's been around forever. What the hell is this coin? What is this? I don't even know what this is. Never even heard of it. IQ 329th place in the crypto market. All right, top 10 coins by coin market cap over on CoinGecko. We have Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, BNB, Solana, USDC, Lido Staked Ether, XRP, Dogecoin, and Toncoin. ADA seems to be still in 11th place. I think it deserves 10th, but I guess we'll have to see. Everything is, again, coming down hard. Let's see. LTC, again, another buying opportunity. I think is this is a very good one to get in on, because I think it's going to easily 2 or 3x. Again, this coin's about 80% down. ADA is about 80% down. Mentioned this for about a month straight. 85 again. I put like 1,200 bucks into ADA or so. But if you go to the max chart, 2017 bull run popped off. 2021 bull run popped off. I'm expecting the same thing to happen in 2024. And if it doesn't, you know what? I'm okay with it. I didn't put too much in, but I think it's an easy 6x or so. Let's see. What is this? Renzo restaked ETH. Look at that. I still don't know what the hell that is. Let's see. Caspa, man, it's in 49th place. 11 cents. A $2.5 billion market cap. If you guys listen, if you guys don't see this flag gearing up, or this wedge gearing up for another pump, I don't know what to tell you. You guys need to be acting. Don't be wimps. All right, we're down 41%. It's definitely a good buying opportunity, at least in my opinion. Let's see. Read my comment. No, I don't want to read your comment. What are you saying? How does it feel? How does it feel being a pimple on a rock? That room is normal size to us. You must be huge. Listen, all right? Don't make fun of me because I'm skinny. I know that's not what you're saying, but
eat shit, Gary.
I hate you. You're the worst friend ever, Crypto KJ. All right, let's move on to the mining segment of things. We're gonna get into seeing what the most profitable miner is of the day. Mine the ASIC. Let's see. We have the Bitmain Antminer KS5 Pro 21 terahash unit making $94 a day. Steven Cicero's losing his wrench today. No wrench for you, Steven. We got the KS5 20 terahash unit making $89 a day. We have the KS5L 12 terahash unit making $49.99 a day. The AL box we have over here making $48 a day. Bruh. That is sad. That is sad. How is the do you guys know how the hash rate is on this? I haven't looked. Yeah, eat shit, Patrick Murphy. Patrick Murphy's like 7 feet tall. Everybody's short to you. This is like, I was like literally at his nipple when I met him in real life. No joke. Anyways, all right, you guys got me off topic. Cut the shit. Killing me here. All right, anyways, the AL box, this thing, I don't know what's gonna happen with this, man. Lithium has really been taking a shit lately. How's the price of it? Let me see. 10.45% down, or 11% down now. $2.12. Damn. See, what this is people just selling off because the miners, they're trying to get their money back from mining it on these boxes. Oh man, this is killing me. I don't know, you guys do what you want. I wouldn't recommend buying the sale box. It's a waste of money. We have the IB Link BMKS Max 11 terahash unit making $42.72 a day. The Windminer K9 10.3 terahash making $41.99 a day. We have the KS3 from Ice River. Wow, it's only making $31 a day. Bruh. That's really bad. That's really bad. We have the KS3M making $20 a day. Oh my god. Bruh. Oh no. We have the Antminer L7 9050. For one, shout out to Musk Miners, because they're the ones that sent me this L7, so they're fantastic. And also, I got my unit hosted down at Terra Hosting. 10 cents kilowatt hours what I'm paying, so I'm still making $11 on this machine, which is really good, to be honest. Most of the profits are on Doge. I think it's like 85% or something. But yeah, it's a Litecoin and Dogecoin script miner. For anybody that doesn't know, the X16Q, Mr. Steven Cicero taught me something in a VIP chat the other day, actually. If you're gonna be sending this thing to unmineable, apparently set it to ETH hash and it mines ETHW, and it will pay you out more. So miner off, but this thing's making $8.14 a day on ETHW and ZIL, if anybody's wondering. Shut up, Geek of all trades. You're the worst. All right, let's see what else we got. What else you guys want to look at? The Ice River KS1. Oh my god, look at that. Oh, that's terrible. $3.41 a day. Bruh. This price needs to move on Caspa soon. Look at this Ice River KS 0 Pro, the 200 gigahash unit. These are the ones I got in the solar trailer. 73 cents a day at 10 cents per kilowatt hour. That's nuts, man. That's nuts. The KS1 looks really bad though. That's insane. Where's my S19K? Am I still in the negative? I'm gonna have to Google it. I mean, I'm gonna have to search it. Oh no. Oh no, I'm way down here. Oh no. All right, the S19K 120 terahash unit is making negative 72 cents at 10 cents kilowatt hour. Excuse me.
It's a fucking good.
There you go, Mr. Max Voltage. I forgot to play it for you. Yeah, the S19K, this is terrible, guys. This is really bad. Man, but you know what? Again, everything correlates to the price. So, price is down. That's going to happen, you know? All right, let's move on to GPUs, see what the most profitable coin is on GPU mining today. We have Graham over here. Looks to be Nexa as well for the 4090. Ironfish, top of the charts for the 170HX. You know, I've been hearing a lot of people saying Ironfish is going to carry GPUs for the next, who knows when, you know, market or till the next, who knows when. I don't know. How do you guys feel about that? Does anybody think that in the chat? Let me know, please. I'm interested to know your thoughts. We have the RTX 4080 Super on Nexa, Ironfish, and Pyron, and Graham as well. Oh, and then Ironfish and Husat, actually. Is that what it is? Husat, I think, HDN. Nexa, again, for the 4080. Xano on the 7900 XT. Let's see. Ravencoin on the 6800 XT. Look at that. Ergo and Pyron also on the 3080 Ti. Wow. Interesting. That's different. That's real different. Ergo and Graham on 3080. Huh. Look at this grin. This Mimble Wimble, the MW right here, 6900 XT. Looks like that's most profitable. Actually, you know what? Grin is a whatever coin, but like, is that, where is that? The iPolo G1, this Grin miner, is still crazy profitable at $11.81. So, however you feel about it, I mean, I'm not a fan of it. I don't really care. Doesn't matter to me. But again, I haven't really done a lot of research into Grin. Grin. I just don't have any. Yeah, so I mean, to each his own. Hey, listen, you make money on this thing. Why the hell wouldn't you mine it? That's crazy. Ravencoin on the Radeon 7 and Chlor AI. Nice. Man, there's a bunch of coins today, huh? Firo on the A5000. Damn, Flux even on the 2080. Look at that. And Conflux as well. Weird. 90HX, Firo. Man, you guys got a lot of choices today. A lot of random shit, to be honest. Honestly, it's because everything's down. The yields are probably just everyone's shutting off. Man, my mouse just nuts on me. All right, let's see. Let's go to the events calendar quick and just see what's coming up soon. So we have Kevacoin in the next 13 days. That is going through halving. We have Pyron 22 days, Ethereum Classic, and 31 going through a fifth inning. Same thing with Pyron's a fifth inning, going from 17 to 14. Pyron per block, rather. And then we have, let's see if we have any new coins. Nope, still no new coins. We have Peppa Pow. I don't know how this thing's not going to get sued, but it probably is. Probably is at some point. All right, I'm done talking. Let's move on to the news segment of things. Backdrop for equity investing is really favorable right now, says Vince LaRusso. That's how you say that. Let's get into it. Hit that like button, guys. Appreciate you for watching. Let's do it.
What do you expect in this week? Last week, we saw a sell-off when the GDP data was softer than expected. We saw the markets finish higher after hotter than expected inflation. What's going on with the markets this week?
Yeah, hi, Frank. We think the backdrop for equity investing is really favorable right now. You know, it's largely a function of our view that disinflation is about to set in. You know, we're starting to see some of the CPI numbers. We think they're starting to roll down. If you look at some of the more current kind of data sets around CPI, which tends to be a lagging indicator, we actually think that the real-time reads on productivity and disinflation are favorable. We're really bullish on equities right here.
All right, so you're really bullish on equities. I want to bounce something off of you. UBS out with a note just yesterday, still forecasting 2 Fed cuts this year, 2 25 basis point cuts. I suppose that's important at this phase. Also forecasting that the 10-year is going to end the year at 3.85. They're overweight tech, and they also say there's opportunities in healthcare, industrials, and small caps. Agree with them that outlook that we are going to see cuts, even though it looks a little bit murky right now, and that we're going to see bond yields decline, which it sounds like fits into your thesis that there's a positive setup for equities.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, Frank. I mean, I think trying to be super precise about monetary policy is difficult. I mean, we step back and say, look, the equity market seems to be anticipating a more accommodative Fed. And if you look at the increase in interest rates over the last, year or so, it has really not precluded equities from moving much higher. And we step back and see that disinflationary environment, whether it's demographics, which tends to be disinflationary, productivity gains from AI and technology. And if you look at balance sheets, consumer spending is going to get difficult to increase in this environment. If you look at the labor market, we actually think part-time jobs are taking over some full-time jobs. That tends to be disinflationary. So, I think directionally the Fed, we think, will be lowering rates. Precisely when and by how much is hard to predict, but we think that's a really favorable backdrop for equities.
All right, speaking of equities, we've got to talk about the Magnificent Seven. Last week, far outperforming the S&P, despite some of the volatility that we saw last week. Magnificent Seven up just about 5%. Does that solidify the case that mega cap tech, specifically those names, are the place that you want to be? Do you think that's going to quiet some of the thoughts that the market's broadening after that large concentration of positive earnings and positive results when it comes to these mega cap names?
Yeah, that's a good question, Frank. I mean, it might be a little bit of both, right? I mean, the mega cap tech names, which are a big area of exposure for the ETFs and the strategies that we manage at Cloud Capital, technology as a sector, and some of the AI semi names are very large. We think it's because they generate significant amounts of cash flow. And these are enormous companies with really wide margins generating enormous cash flow. But we are seeing a broadening of the market. So being a security analyst, bottom-up research, going out of tech and finding interesting ideas in other sectors, whether they be small or mid or large cap. We don't think that Mag 7 or what used to be FANG has a kind of a dominance on market strength right here. We're looking for security analysis and fundamental research to pay dividends.
All right, shout out to CNBC for that. Sorry, I'm trying to mess with my lighting, guys. I'm trying to see what works because I feel like I'm super dark over here in the corner. All right, Intel CEO Gelsinger, I don't know how to even say that, on Q1 earnings, Foundry Business AI. Let's see what they got to say about Intel over here. Let's get to it. Bloomberg Technology. Guys, that like button. Appreciate you for hanging out.
We welcome now our Bloomberg TV and radio audiences worldwide, and joining us is the Intel CEO, Pat Gelsinger. Pat, good morning to you, and thank you for your time. The stock is down more than 10%, and we're kind of here again, right, where there's the short term and the long term where you're trying to convince investors of a return to technology leadership and also grow a foundry business. Have you an updated timeline on when you think you will achieve that target?
Yeah, thanks, Ed. And obviously, hey, we delivered a solid Q1, right? We met on revenue. We, beat on earnings, a bit tepid in the first half, as we said, but we see a lot of, improvement as we go through the year. And with that, obviously, the foundry business, as I would say, we're going to see progress on the foundry business every quarter from now to the end of the decade. It just gets better and better as we move into our new technologies. As we've said, getting back to process leadership, which have better ASPs, and we can build better products with them. We win more external foundry customers as our scale grows. And we're also get past this period where we had to invest to catch up, right, and create the capacity for a decade plus of underinvestment. So everything there becomes a tailwind going forward, and we hit key milestones. And one of those I was very proud of. Just this week, we went to production with our first server part on Intel 3. The U.S. is back to leadership process technology being manufactured on our shores for the first time in a decade. So some key milestones, and I'll just say everything is coming together, as we would say, and we're very optimistic that, yes, in fact, we will deliver the foundry business and the manufacturing capabilities as we've laid out for the company, the industry, and the world.
Stifel, interestingly, analysts over there, 2024 should mark the bottom in many aspects, Pat, but they really want to understand the pace of the climb that is necessary. How can you tell us about how quickly you'll be able to scale back that market share that you've so far lost?
Yeah, and we look at Intel now in these two different perspectives. Intel products, and we expose through our recast financials that we have a very solid fabless business with healthy financials, and we expect those to improve over time. But the big story has been about exposing the foundry financials and the losses associated with those. And what we see is over the decade, that will cross through profitability in the middle of the period for that business as we get back to process leadership and start to moderate the level of investment required to go rebuild that decade of underinvestment. And as we do that, if we would have that today, we'd be more than double the earnings this year that we're forecasting. So it becomes a huge positive lever for us. And as I like to say, all of that's in our control. The wafers, getting back to leadership, the product implications of it, all of these things are our control. And it gets better as we win additional external foundry customers.
The link, I think, Pat, is about growing market share of server to support the costs necessary for the foundry business. You were asked an interesting question on the call in the context of servers built on x86 versus ARM-based alternatives. And you gave a pretty thorough explanation about the place of all of those particular data center CPUs. But what I didn't hear was what's happening out there in the real world. Where are data centers being built and what are they being built on right now?
Yeah, and this is important because we've been in a period now for a number of quarters where data center CPUs have been fairly tepid. And we do see that improving. We had good improvement in the first quarter of the year, and we expect that to continue through the year. And, there's time for refresh in those data centers. But we're also seeing that the CPUs now as head nodes for AI use cases, we posted some pretty incredible results that we can now run 70 billion parameter models natively on the CPU. I don't need a special accelerator. I can do everything on the software stack that I already use inside of data centers. And we're seeing that these power efficient products that we're bringing to the marketplace, such as our Xeon 6 that we just announced, are going to enable us to stabilize and regain market share. With much higher core counts, the ASPs are going up very nicely on that through the year. So we saw growth in Q1. We expect that to continue through the year. And as we get to the back half of the year, our accelerator product line with Gaudi, Xeon plus Gaudi, we believe becomes a very compelling solution for enterprise customers. And we had quite a number of announcements of those this quarter. Customers such as Bosch and Dell and Supermicro, all bringing those into the marketplace. Roche and IBM and key cloud partners like Naver, the fastest growing cloud provider in Asia. All of those coming alongside the Intel strategy. So we see that momentum building, Ed.
Momentum, and we want to just remind us that we are with TV radio audiences, the CEO of Intel, Pat Gelsinger. Pat, on the momentum, everyone wants to talk about AI in all of its ways and means. You've been focusing in on an AI PC, and I'm just really interested in, ultimately, you're going to be, shipping in excess of originally 40 million AI PC CPUs. That's the target for 2024. But what's the demand like at the moment, Pat? And what's the cost like?
Yeah, and when we announced the category at the end of last year, Carolyn, it was sort of like everybody says, wow, what's going on? The AI PC, and you're seeing a flurry of interest of other people coming into that market. But Intel, unquestionably the leader, first to declare the market, first to describe the use cases, and our first product, Core Ultra, is having a very robust ramp into the marketplace. And to some degree, I'm racing to catch up to the demand. We're meeting all of our supply commitments, but not all of the upside requests yet, that we're getting from customers. So this is very robust. We expect that we'll exceed the 40 million units this year. We'll be introducing our next generation product in the middle of this year. So all of these pieces, we are very optimistic. And you're seeing use cases and communications where all of a sudden I get summarization, contextualization, translation in real time, all running on my PC. Developers, gamers, all of these use cases are now becoming AI enabled, and Intel leading the AI PC parade. It's a very exciting time for what I believe will be the biggest cycle of PC refresh and expansion that we've seen in likely decades.
Pat, this is a conversation about your technology and about ultimately your fundamentals of a business. I'm just going to take a turn for a moment, and it's a sensitive question, so I give you a moment to think about it. But given your relationship with Israel and the fact that you are one of the largest employers over there, how are you currently feeling about students in the United States protesting against endowments being invested in companies that are associated with Israel at this moment?
Well, we have been in Israel for 40 years now. And it's been an incredible country for us, incredible innovators, and extraordinary resilience by the Israeli people. And they continue, despite the challenges of the war that's going on there, to deliver against their objectives. So we're very committed to support our teams wherever they are in the world. That said, hey, we seek peace, and we've been clearly emphasizing that we need to find routes of sustainable peace in the region, and have been supporting perspectives that reinforce that across the region. And as we look across the world, we say, boy, there continues to be the turbulence, and fundamentally our strategy is around building globally resilient supply chains that are balanced across the world. So our core strategy is emphasizing that there will be these challenges across the world, whether that's in Israel, Ukraine, or Asia, and we are committed to making sure that we can support, the global markets that we serve, right, with a strategy that really was built for a turbulent world.
Pat, let's end on AI accelerators. Gaudi is on track for $500 million this year. AMD's MI300X will probably do $3.5 billion, and NVIDIA, with its generations, will do $40 billion. You've said that choice is important, and also the CPU is important, and I accept that. Many share it. But do you see a clear path where the numbers I just outlined rebalance in your favor in the AI accelerator market going forward?
Given the strength that we saw at our Vision event that we had 20 plus customers coming out publicly in support of our accelerator and our Xeon Plus accelerator strategy. We're really starting to see that pipeline of activity convert, Ed. And ultimately, much of the activity that you've seen so far on generative AI has been in cloud training. And now, and I think the ultimate monetization of AI happens as business deployments start to occur. And those are the areas that we see strength. We launched the open platform for enterprise AI. How do we enable these use cases inside of the enterprise, but in an open architecture that many get to participate in? We announced the open AI networking, from closed proprietary networking to standard Ethernet-based scale-up and scale-out networking. We announced that this quarter. And obviously the momentum that we're seeing with Gaudi, all of that $500 million, almost all of it's in the second half of the year. So you can see a very accelerated, cycle. A lot of enthusiasm for Gaudi. The unquestioned leader in TCO, total cost of ownership for enterprises, building on the Xeon franchise and the position that we have in the enterprise, and literally ISVs and cloud providers, but most importantly, enterprise customers seeing that value proposition. Yeah, we feel like we're gaining a lot of momentum now in this category and feel good about the potential for our AI everywhere, AI PC, AI Edge, AI Enterprise, and AI Cloud.
Ending on an optimistic note, we thank you so much, Intel CEO Pat Gelsinger there.
Look at that. Shout out to Bloomberg Technology for that. You know what it is here in the lighting? It's because I have a black ceiling in this new studio. That's the problem. All right, let's move on to videos. I want to listen to this. I haven't had a chance to. The Bloomberg ETF expert reveals Bitcoin's next move over here on Altcoin Daily. This is almost a half-hour interview, so I want to see what goes on over here. Guys, that like button. Appreciate you for hanging out. Let's do it.
I've heard it stated that even though Bitcoin ETFs were approved in mid-January, that most of the retirement accounts and all the people that would buy into these ETFs have not bought yet. Is that accurate? Today I interviewed James Seifert, ETF research analyst at Bloomberg Intelligence.
A bunch of these ETFs are some of the best launches in history. IBIT is arguably the best launch in history.
To talk about the success the Bitcoin spot ETFs have seen.
Like right now, these things, if you just look at the numbers, they've taken in, on a net basis, including the outflows for GBTC, they've taken in $12.3 billion since they launched on January 11th.
And what comes next?
Crypto Twitter is kind of in this bubble where they think it should be inflows every single day, and that is not going to be the case.
Based on what we saw happen to gold, how big could these Bitcoin ETFs be if demand for these ETFs stays similar to what you expect? Where's that put price by end of year, top of cycle? And watch today's whole video. We'll also talk about the Ethereum ETFs. But Ethereum ETF, do you think that'll happen by end of year? If you appreciate these conversations, hit the like button and let's start. Dude, you've been covering, the Bitcoin ETFs early Bitcoin ETFs, putting out great data, you and the Bloomberg terminal. Just for the folks at home, though, could you go over your background and how you got into Bloomberg and ETFs?
Yeah, so I actually interned at Bloomberg while I was still in college and had a full-time offer while I was back at school for my preseason, actually. So like I went into my senior year, knew I was working at Bloomberg, but the way you go in, you don't know where you're going to go. I wanted to be on the ETFs and hedge funds team. They were connected together at the time. I had done some work at hedge funds prior to that as internships, and I basically pushed really hard to be covering ETFs and hedge funds. I thought ETFs were the future, still do, obviously, if anyone here follows me. So I worked on the back end, the data side, uploading a bunch of information and data, maintaining relationships with different fund providers, namely like BlackRock and Invesco, the names that everyone is now familiar with. And then in 2017, I made the jump over to Bloomberg Intelligence, which is where I am now. And that's Bloomberg's research arm. So when I was there, I actually split time between Eric Balchunas and Mike McGlone, our senior commodity strategist. And basically within the first couple of weeks of joining Mike, he was like, "What do you know about Bitcoin? I feel like I need to start covering it from the commodity point of view." And I was like, I know a decent amount because I had gotten interested in late 2016 into Bitcoin and crypto more broadly. So that's where it all started. I'm full-time an ETF analyst now, but I do spend a significant chunk of time covering specifically the Bitcoin ETFs, crypto ETFs globally, you name it. So yeah, that was a little bit more long-winded than I planned, but anything ETF related.
Yeah. And believe me, I want this detail because obviously in the first 30 days after approval, the Bitcoin ETFs were what everybody was talking about. And we're still seeing inflows every day. So could you just give a current state of the Bitcoin ETFs today?
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of at it's stagnating, I guess is what I would say. But like right now, these things, if you just look at the numbers, they've taken in on a net basis, including the outflows from GBTC, they've taken in $12.3 billion since they launched on January 11th. Bunch of these ETFs are some of the best launches in history. IBIT is arguably the best launch in history. Fastest they're at 17.6 billion. GBTC has whittled its way down to 19.3 billion. And then we have Fidelity that's right around the $10 billion mark. I mean, this was an absolute smashing success. There's a lot of liquidity and volume, which is very good for long term for these ETFs being used as trading vehicles and long-term asset allocators. But in all, these things have $54 billion in assets. It's just been a smashing success. That said, like I said at the beginning, things have kind of stagnated. GBTC is still seeing meaningful outflows around 100 million per day on average. Sometimes less, sometimes more. Most recently, it was a little more, and things have slowed. So IBIT actually, I think, is 72 days. Yesterday was the first day that IBIT did not have an inflow. And so a 72-day inflow streak is like one of the top 10 streaks we've ever seen for an ETF, period, stop. And it is the record for a launch. We've never seen an ETF launch and then continually taken money every single day, day in, day out, the way that BlackRock's IBIT did.
So since this was for BlackRock, the very first time we didn't see a net inflow, we broke the streak. If this goes on for a week, or if we have the next few weeks where it's some on, some off, I don't know. Is that the end of the world? Is that normal in ETFs?
I mean, it should be normal. I mean, for the most part, most ETFs, first of all, most ETFs don't see a flow every day in or out. For the most part, it's going to be zero. If we look at ETFs for yesterday, the only ETFs that saw inflows were Fidelity and ARK at 5.6 and 4.2 million. Every single other one was zero, and then UTC was an outflow of 130, for example. That's probably going to be more along the lines of what's normal going forward. It's standard and normal procedure for an ETF just not to have flows on a given day, right? There are going to be days and weeks where these things see meaningful outflows. We just haven't really seen it yet, aside from anything from GBTC. But going for like these things, that's what they're built to do. They're built to track the underlying value of the assets. So if there's enough demand and the demand outstrips the current supply, the amount of shares that we have out in the market, the market makers, the authorized participants, they're going to create new shares, which is inflows, to meet that demand. If the demand is lower than the current supply, they're going to destroy shares, and we're going to see outflows and selling of Bitcoin. So like that's all these ETFs are going to do. They're just indicative of what's going on in the overall market, particularly for demand for these ETFs. And over time, that's just the way things are going to play out. So I think crypto Twitter is kind of in this bubble where they think it should be inflows every single day, and that is not going to be the case. long term. I think over the long term, there'll be net inflows. I think there will be plenty of times where we're going to see meaningful inflows come to these things, but it's going to be coincide with also some outflows. But over the long term, I think the inflows will win, is my guess.
I've heard it stated that even though Bitcoin ETFs were approved in mid-January, that most of the retirement accounts and all the people that would buy into these ETFs have not bought yet. Is that accurate?
Somewhat misleading, but mostly accurate, I guess is the way I would characterize that. So if you think about this, right, a lot of this, we'll have more information right, we're recording this towards the end of April. We'll have more information by mid-May about exactly who has bought these things and where this money has come from. Based on anecdotal evidence and talking with different people, it's small independent advisor shops. So it's just a couple people running money for a certain amount of clients, or it's retail investors buying for their own IRAs, their own brokerage accounts, things like that. That's anecdotally what we're hearing. Some of the data is showing this. There's some meaningfully decent size investment advisor groups that have bought this that we've seen from some of these 13F filings. So I said mid-May because that's when the 13F filings are due to come out, and we'll know for sure a good chunk of like who bought these things. That said, the huge platforms, the wealth platforms, think UBS, Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, those types of advisor networks and brokerage platforms, everyone thinks like these things get approved and all of a sudden everyone can buy it. It's kind of the opposite. It's like a lot of these platforms, it's like you can't buy this until it's expressly gone through a due diligence process. We know everything, the ins and outs of these different ETFs, and we'll approve a handful for buying. So a lot of them have been approved for buying, but it's not allowed to be like pitched essentially. So the way that a lot of this works is these independent advisors that are small shops, they can be nimble. They can do what they want. They could have bought this thing like pretty much from day one, just like a retail investor could. These larger shops, these advisor networks, these brokerage platforms, it's more like it's the opposite. Like you need to go through that process. And usually there's levels of it. So right, the first level is like, no one can buy this under any circumstance until we look at it a little bit closer. For the most part, it seems like most of the platforms are not at that level. They've gone past this to the second level, which is like this middle range of like, there's some restrictions on who can buy it. There's some hoops you have to jump through. You cannot recommend it to clients, but the clients come to you. Maybe you can buy it after you fill some paperwork explaining why you're buying it. There's like this middle ground of like, yes, you could probably buy it if you really want it, but it's not something you can pitch to your clients. And it's not something you can just put into a model portfolio for your clients. The final level of approval is you can go out and tell your clients that I think this would fit as a 2% allocation in your portfolio, 5% allocation. That is not happening pretty much anywhere at this point, as far as we're aware. There's very few places where there's allowing these platforms and these advisors and brokers to go out and recommend these ETFs. So when will that happen? Who knows? Usually you'd say at least 3 months, likely even 6 months for that to happen. We're beyond the 3-month mark. But sometimes it just takes different time. And also, it's a little bit different here just for some of this stuff because when you're doing this due diligence process, it's a little different because it's just like you're buying one asset. Sometimes it can get very complicated if you're looking at an active portfolio manager or different things. You're trying to understand exactly what they're buying and selling. In this case, you just need to understand the risks of Bitcoin and the risks of the ETF wrapper. It's not as complicated. But yeah, like I said, we'll see in mid-May-ish. We'll get a better idea of who owns this and if some of these big platforms are allowing people to buy it. But we're not there yet.
Back when gold got its very first ETF back in 2004, I believe, revolutionary at the time, and gold's price, even though day to day it varied, to me, it looks like virtually only went up for the next 5 years as institutions were finally able to buy in. Is that a reasonable expectation, for a hard asset like Bitcoin?
I think that's a little bit, there's way more nuance to that. Like you got to realize that this thing launched in 2004, right before the great financial crisis. Central banks were buying a ton of gold during the financial crisis and after. There was a lot of demand for gold itself, not necessarily. So yes, one, the ETF democratized gold investing. So before that, the only way to get gold was like going down to your like corner pawn shop and like I buy gold and like selling or buying gold manually and physically. So one, just being able to buy it in your brokerage platform like that is hugely beneficial for people who wanted exposure to the shiny yellow metal, right? It's a little different with Bitcoin. Like you could always have bought it in your pocket. This wasn't like completely democratizing the exposure. It does put Bitcoin on the traditional financial rails. It does make it easier for people who don't have like a Coinbase account or Kraken account, you name it. So I don't think it's like for like. but like I said, there was a lot of other circumstantial things that like caused gold to run up aside from just the ETF. But the ETF definitely helped, just because it made it easier for people to buy it. Ironically, the GLD, the gold ETF, is the only ETF in history to be larger than the S&P 500 ETF SPY. So for like 2 or 3 days in 2011, I think it was, gold actually surpassed SPY in assets. Now it's a fraction of the size of SPY, but yeah.
And also, just to add on, and I want to get your take on this, a circumstance would be beneficial to Bitcoin versus gold is, I'm sure when the gold ETF was approved, the big money invested in more miners, they inflated that supply, mined more gold into the ecosystem. With Bitcoin, as investor Lawrence Lepard says, hard asset, they cannot make more of it no matter what happens to demand.
Yeah, that's correct. So gold, you can increase the supply over time if the price goes up enough and it becomes more profitable, get to harder deposits, things like that. But yeah, like you said, gold is completely capped. So they're not obviously like for like in many different ways however you look at this, but there are some analogies you can look to.
James, what are you most passionate about in the ETF space? Is it Bitcoin, or what aspect of Bitcoin, like in the 1-year time frame?
I mean, recently it's been crypto and Bitcoin, but largely that is not necessarily just from like, I'm 100% a Bitcoin maxi or crypto wholehearted believer. I just view the way that the SEC has handled this whole process as completely dropping the ball. I think they've handled this completely wrong. I think the SEC has handled a lot of things completely wrong over recent years. I think Gary Gensler and this administration has damaged the SEC's reputation.
Eat shit,
going
Gary.
forward. So like that's why there's a lot of stuff going on around this. You have politics involved, you have billions of dollars at stake, you have the largest asset managers. So it was just genuinely exciting. And then also the flows coming in made it super exciting. But I don't just cover crypto. Like right now I'm writing about passive management and the passive ownership of different individual stocks and different like passive index rules, things like that. So like I do a lot of traditional finance type research. I don't just do crypto. But I would say recently the hottest topic has obviously been crypto, and both from our clients' point of view, we see it in our reads, and I see it in the interest on whenever I tweet about it. Whenever I tweet about regular financial stuff, people seem to get mad at me.
Yeah, Vinny, you're not wrong. You said gold also has the industry usage that eats up supply, jewelry, industrial, etc. Yeah, like phones and stuff. Yeah, right.
Well, I can certainly understand being most excited about Bitcoin. That's why our channel exists in crypto. I want to ask you a question that your clients are probably asking you, and this one's just for fun. Nobody can see the future. But if demand for these ETFs stays similar to what you expect, where does that put price by end of year, top of cycle?
I'm actually not allowed to talk about price, period, stop. The one thing I will say on this is that I think a lot of people in the crypto world misconstrue, and this doesn't happen in the traditional financial world, is like the ETF flows are just a piece of the overall pie. Like they are just one area of buyers. Like they are one small sliver. Actually, I guess it's a big sliver now with the amount of money the amount of Bitcoin they bought over the last 3 months. But they're
I like how he yelled at him. He's like, period, stop. I can't talk about price.
just a piece of the overall market. They are not dictating where price is going. And also people are looking at flows and trying to like talk about where like that means the price is going to go. For the most part, once the flows happen, like once we see what the flows are, that has already impacted the market. The Bitcoin's already been bought. There's already been hedging made to get exposure to Bitcoin. Like it's all already done. So everyone's like super focused on flows and what's it's going to do to price. And by the time we get the flows, like it's already impacted the market. Like the trading has already happened. All that information has already happened. Yes, it can be good to look back and see what sentiment is like. Like right now, sentiment doesn't seem to be very strong considering we're not seeing much inflows into these ETFs right now. But for the most part, people tend to overestimate what these ETFs can do to the price, in my point of view. I mean, and the demand, obviously, this is heavy on the demand side of things, impacting the price of Bitcoin, particularly when you're seeing billions of dollars come in every week. It's going to be positive. But that said, it's going to take there's no way to know exactly what the price impact will be. But I do think even if we didn't get a single dollar of flows in for the rest of the year, at $12.3 billion in assets that have come in, like that's still an extremely successful launch for a group of ETFs. So that is the one caveat I would give.
Let's talk about Ethereum ETF. Final question, and feel free to pass on this. Just the last one on Bitcoin. Can you say, do you think Bitcoin will be higher than 73K, in the next 2 years? Are you allowed to give it range?
No, I'm
All right.
technically not allowed to. Yeah.
I
I
respect
have
it.
my views, but I'm not allowed to talk about it, unfortunately.
I respect it. And by the way, that's why I follow you on Twitter. Links are down below so I can get those
Smart.
breadcrumbs.
He's avoiding the hateful stuff, but obviously his company doesn't let him do that.
But Ethereum
Morning,
ETF,
Joseph.
do you think that'll happen by end of year?
By end of year, probably not. I think it'll happen in 2025, but we'll have more information. So we've been very vocally bearish. Ethereum ETFs getting approved in May 23rd is the deadline. Eric and I have been very bearish on this happening for the last couple months, much to ETH Maxi's disappointment. It's not happening. We're not seeing any movement. It's very unlikely to happen. Our official stats are 25%. We're going to have to lower that in the near future because we're not seeing any movement whatsoever. So I don't think it's going to happen. In order to give you like a timeline on when we do think it's going to happen, like I said, I think 2025 is more likely, but we need to see what the SEC denies on, right? So we're going to get denial letters and they're going to explain why they're denying. If they deny, so they have three options, right? They can approve, which I just said not happening. The second option is, or third option, depending on what order it, but the one main option is go nuclear and say that Ethereum is security, and then you end up in a bunch of court cases, and that could take a very long time. I do not think the SEC is going to go there. That'll open up a battle between them and their sister agency, the CFTC. A whole host of other reasons. The SEC has made it made implicit moves that accept Ethereum as a commodity, in my point of view. So I don't think they're going to go that route. I do think they could try to thread a needle there in different ways that say parts of the Ethereum, like staked Ethereum, could be a security in some way. I could see them trying to thread that needle. I don't know exactly what they're going to do. That said, even if these things do get approved, they're not going to have staking, not anytime remotely soon. They're not going to allow for in-kind creation redemption, just like the Bitcoin ETF. So you can't actually give over Ethereum and get shares of the ETF or vice versa. So the final option, which I think of what they're going to do, is they're going to basically come up with a word salad, maybe lean on correlations and say the correlations were weak a couple of years ago, and it's not enough for us to approve. The problem with doing that, leaning on like a word salad, talking about correlations, all of a sudden you're not actually full on like stopping this. You're just kicking the can down the road again. So I think that's what they're going to do. I think they're going to kick the can down the road. And then they'll have to come up with a different reason if they lean on correlations or whatever else they lean on at some point. But yeah, I don't think it's going to happen later in the year. The odds are slightly higher as you get later in the year, I guess. I would be crazy to say there's not like some way that things could sneak through. But yeah, it's 2025 is more looking possible, but I'll have a better idea after I see the denial letters. The other part of this is where I don't think there's going to be any decisions made until the election happens.
What do you guys think is going to happen with Ethereum? They're going to get labeled as security or what? I mean, the proof of stake thing is kind of where everything gets thrown for a loop, right? I don't know. We're going to have to see.
We have the election in November. If the Biden admin stays in power, that's not very good for the prospects of some of these things. It's not necessarily guaranteed that I guess the Republican admin coming in would do something better, but it's probably more likely that they'll do something positive in the crypto space and with the SEC. So who knows exactly what will happen? But yeah, I don't think it's happening.
I think it'll be an ETF purely on the fact that the big giants, financial giants of the world are greedy, and to be honest, the people that run the world are like people like BlackRock and stuff, like not so much like our president and like the SEC. Yeah, they obviously call the shots, but they get paid from the big guys. You know what I mean? So like pure greed, I think, is gonna push Ethereum to get the ETF, but the fact that it's probably it kind of is a security in a sense, right? The proof of stake, like you're getting rewarded for putting shit like in a savings account, basically. So I mean, it's like who knows what's gonna happen. It's weird
this year, unfortunately.
And just to be clear, one of the reasons you were so sure that Bitcoin ETF would get approved is because we saw in those months leading up to it, the conversations and the refilings between the issuers and the SEC. We're seeing zero of that with Ethereum, correct?
Yeah, we've seen a couple refilings, but you got to realize, like when we were looking at the other ones, it was like all of a sudden everyone was filing like an update, and the changes were very similar. You could see like this was obviously due to conversations with the SEC. The stuff now, we've seen updates over the last few months here and there, but for the most part, it's like pretty standard stuff. It looks like it's just bringing it in line with the stuff they learned from the Bitcoin ETF filings. So yeah, we're just not seeing any movement, any interaction between the SEC. And when we ask our sources what's going on and ask for information, there's basically nothing happening. So it seems like Gary Gensler and the SEC just aren't going to approve this thing without essentially a court case. So
Facts. Yeah, he's
that's
100%.
where we stand here. But the other part of this is like,
100%
you gotta
right.
realize Gary approved this thing, and he was the deciding vote in a 5-member commission. The 2 Democrats voted not to approve Bitcoin ETFs, and Gary did, and he was basically backed into a corner by the federal courts. And even with the federal court ruling for Grayscale and against the SEC, Caroline Crenshaw and another Democratic commissioner still dissented and thought they should have denied them, even though like any lawyer I spoke to was like the SEC really doesn't have much of a choice unless they want to virtually defy a federal court order. That's basically all you need to know in the sense of like how the Dems and the Democratic commissioners are viewing this. They do not want anything to get through. We wouldn't even have Bitcoin ETFs if we're up to them.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but the crux of the Grayscale case and how the SEC lost against Grayscale, and then we have Bitcoin ETFs, is because the argument was we have Bitcoin futures, and that tracks the price. If we have futures products, why can't we have spot products?
All right.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it comes down to. I mean, the SEC approved futures ETFs, Bitcoin futures ETFs. You could make the same argument now for Ethereum because they approved Ethereum futures ETFs.
That's what I was just gonna say. They have Ethereum futures ETFs. All right. So Chuck Danger said ETH is the layer 1 everyone wants to use for things like smart contracts. Sounds more like a gasoline, a consumable product used to carry out the process on an L1. Yeah, that's not a bad point.
But when they approve, so when Grayscale won their lawsuit, is basically like you can't basically approve something that is a derivative on these actual spot markets. The derivative, the futures are derivatives of the spot pricing, and then so you're going to allow this derivatives market and these derivatives ETFs to trade, but not allow the actual spot market to trade. And not to mention, like, no matter how you look at it, derivatives are inefficient ways of getting exposure. Those futures ETFs were inefficient when compared to a spot ETF over time. They underperform by significant margins over longer time periods, particularly in bull markets. So they're just not good for end investors. So the fact that the SEC was supposed to be protecting investors in our view was also just insane. And the fact that they were allowing futures ETFs to trade, but not spot ETFs. It was a case of missing the forest for the trees. And I mean, for a very long time, we were on the side of Grayscale saying that they had a shot at winning this lawsuit. I remember my colleague, Elliot Stein, wrote a note basically saying that he thought Grayscale had a 40% chance of victory. And that was in, when was that? Early in 2023. And I had people berating me. I had even our clients telling us that this was a frivolous lawsuit and that Grayscale was going to lose. And then after oral arguments, Elliot Stein and I and other colleagues sat together and we decided to go to 70% odds of victory for Grayscale. And I can't tell you how many people thought we were insane. So my only thing is like, I feel like a lot of people in this space and covering this space have such like built up emotions, whether pro or con. So a lot of people just refuse to accept the fact that it looks like this thing is going to get denied, these Ethereum ETFs, just like a lot of people on the opposite side refuse to accept that the Bitcoin ETFs were going to get approved and Grayscale was going to lawsuit. So people that can't like put aside their personal feelings and look at the facts on the ground, they're the ones that keep getting things wrong.
James, I appreciate this perspective. Again, links for all your stuff down below. Final thoughts for the altcoin daily army.
I guess my last thing I would say is the Hong Kong ETFs are coming.
Yes.
So there are Hong Kong ETFs coming, big spot Bitcoin, spot Ethereum. They're going to be in kind, unlike the US ones. But there's a lot of people that are overhyped.
Wait, aren't they already here? Or am I wrong? Didn't they already get approved? Or is it somewhere else?
The value that will provide. I think long term that could be huge. The problem is the Hong Kong market is very small. Mainland Chinese investors will not be allowed to invest in China. Is very strict on this stuff. It's not there. You're not just going to get to be able to buy access using a VPN and different things. Like this is China we're talking about. So in the near term, it's unlikely to be hugely impactful. That said, they do look like they're going to be cheaper than we thought, which is going to be very competitive. But to put it in perspective,
So Crypto KJ said they start trading tomorrow. Interesting.
the Hong Kong ETF
Launches
market
April
is about
30th. Okay.
40-ish, 45-ish, $48 billion
That's
in
huge.
assets. All ETFs listed in Hong Kong the US ETFs are over 50. So the US ETFs that we have here, the US spot Bitcoin ETFs, have more in assets, the entire asset space in Hong Kong. That's not to say, like, if these things get $1 billion in assets in the first year, that would be an absolute smashing success, right? So there's not saying it's going to be a negative impact. It's definitely going to be positive. It's just not going to be to the same level of positivity that the spot Bitcoin ETFs here in the US played, even though they were cash create only. So we'll see what happens. We'll be watching. Those are going to be launching in the very near future. It's kind of unfortunate that the SEC and this admin are treating crypto the way that they currently are, but you kind of have to play the hand that you're dealt. And we just don't think the SEC is going to allow ETH anytime soon, not without a battle. And even still, like I said, I think if they lean on correlations, that correlation argument will fall apart within a year. So by this time next year, they won't be able to deny on correlations anymore. And if they deny on different factors, then all of a sudden you're going to end up back in a court case battle again. And I think the SEC will lose.
Yeah, I think the SEC is going to lose too. Like I said, BlackRock, like the big guys are really the ones that freaking run shit, right? At the end of the day. BlackRock is going to be tokenizing everything on the Ethereum network. They ain't going to use anything else. Why wouldn't they use the Ethereum network, right? So them not approving this is like, to me, is like a 0% chance. It's going to happen regardless of they want to sit there and say it's a security or not. I don't think it's not going to happen. There's no way.
And very
My
quickly,
opinion.
can you talk about why in-kind is better for Hong Kong? Because I remember when the American ones were not in-kind, everybody said, oh, not a big deal. They still have to buy the Bitcoin. Why is in-kind better?
Yeah, so in-kind is better because it's just more efficient for everyone. And also, if you have Bitcoin, you can just basically send it over to the trust if you're an authorized participant. It just makes things slightly more efficient. So what in-kind means is so essentially, if you have a certain amount of Bitcoin, this 5 Bitcoin equates to 500 shares of the ETF. That's not how it works. But you can exchange 500 shares for 5 Bitcoin, and you can exchange 5 Bitcoin for 500 shares at all times. That's how these ETFs track the underlying price. If demand and supply get out of whack, they're going to create more supply or destroy supply to meet demand. With in-kind, it's just more efficient. There's way less steps that have to be involved. You're just handing over Bitcoin and getting shares of the ETF. With the cash create process, it's cash that's going over, and you're getting shares back. You need a way more lead time when you're doing creation redemption because you're sending cash to the Bitcoin ETF issuer, and then they have to go out and buy the Bitcoin in the open market. They have to use different mechanisms. There's just also way more things that you can do when it's allowed to do in kind. There's efficiencies that are created. But the SEC was not okay with it. They were about money laundering, know your customer laws getting broken potentially. But really, it comes down to the fact that the SEC doesn't want brokers touching Bitcoin, and there's no real guidelines for how this should happen or what should happen. So they were like, no, we're definitely not allowing this. But honestly, the fact that they did this and it's cash only is the reason why you have Goldman and some of these other massive banks, JP Morgan, ironically enough, despite Jamie Dimon hating Bitcoin, they're all involved because it's cash create. So these ETFs in China are going to be in kind or in cash. So you'll be able to do both. There's no way to know exactly what that is from our point of view, but it just adds a little more flexibility.
Interesting. Well, shout out to Altcoin Daily for that. That was great. All right, let's move on to the recap segment of things. See what you guys are saying in the chat quick. Buy as much copper as you can. Someone said, where can you buy copper? I said Home Depot. Or the Plum and Supply House. All right, so let's see. Bitcoin, $62,557. Just recapping things for anybody that's just joining. All right, we have Ethereum at 3161, Solana $136. I think that's a steal, to be honest. XRP 50 cents, ADAs 45 cents. That's also another good buying opportunity in my opinion. Caspa, same thing. ETC, same thing. I honestly don't see how Ethereum ETFs don't happen. That's just my opinion. It's like, again, BlackRock's going to be tokenizing things on the Ethereum network. Like, that's a fact. And all they got to do is pay off people. No, I said hi. Fuck, you fuck. I tagged you too, you boob. I did. I tagged you. I said hi. I saw you. I see you. All right, chicken man. See you. 22 baby mamas. What are you saying? Oh, DJ Mines, that was you. I thought you were Patrick Murphy for some reason. What the hell? Anyways, DJ, what's up, dude? Good to see you, man. Perfect. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you for hanging out. Toncoin still holding 10th spot. It's crazy. I'm still shocked that Toncoin's doing this well, to be honest. An $18 billion market cap. That's crazy. Crazy that it's more than ADA, to be honest. Lithium's taking a real shit, as you guys just saw on the charts. I don't know what's gonna happen with this. How do you guys feel about this? What's gonna happen here? Are we gonna continue higher? I mean, we got, I don't know what's happening here. I mean, it's kind of, what is it, descending wedge usually breaks to the upside, they say, right? I guess we're gonna have to find out. Ice River's opening repair companies. What? Ismo? That's not true. Is that true? Is that true? That's crazy. Massive pump coming, you think, for a lithium? I don't know. I hope so. The market cap is still relatively really low. It's 164 million, right? So it's not in the $1 billion market cap yet. It's still ranked 328, which is like, dude, like this has potential for sure to pump, right? But are these miners going to kill the project before it has a chance to? Like, are they going to take all the confidence out of it? And that's the problem. Like this, what is it? The AL box right here, a $48 a day unit that was making over $100 a day, literally like 2 weeks ago. I don't know if it can't hold the top of the charts and this number just keeps going down. I mean, obviously correlating with the price of lithium, right? But if this number keeps going down, then that's gonna force people to be not as confident in the project, and that's just how it is. They need a listing. They need a listing. Are you talking about Lithium needs a listing? Like on an exchange? What exchanges are they on, actually? I don't even know. All right. Well, I mean, they're on, yeah, XC. I mean, we can't use that here. So you're saying like they need like a tier 1 listing, you mean? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, not wrong. But again, there's a lot of coins that need that. Is a Lithium, is that fair launch project? Is there any pre-mine or anything? Honestly, I don't even think I've ever read into the site. I don't know. I really don't know. I'd have to look into this more. I haven't really read up on Lithium. The only thing I've watched actually was DJ Mines' interview, which was really good. Look at that. Bitcoin's trending. I don't think I've ever seen Bitcoin in the top of this trending chart. Interesting. Let's see. If you're on MEXC, you are solid for me. This is fully electric. Yeah, well, I mean, you have to use a VPN in the States, right? I don't have a MEXC account, but it says your every time I go there, it says your IP cannot be whatever. No pre-mine. Okay, thank you, Backwards Miner. I wasn't sure. Do you guys think this farm is testing and will shut down at some point? Oh yeah, you're talking about the lithium hash rate. Hey, that's not how you spell that, is it? How do you spell lithium? God damn it. Hold on. ALE, dude, I always spell it wrong every single time. I always spell it wrong every single time. There we go. All. Let's see. Yeah, dude, this thing peaked out at almost 800 terahashes. So like in the past, like, how do you get 3 days maybe? No. Damn, why don't they have a 7-day option? Well, that's stupid. Can't like zoom in on this. All right, so like right here, April 21st, this was like, I guess it was 8 days ago, so it wouldn't help me anyways. 8 days ago, 492 terahashes. This shit shot up to almost 800. That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would assume that they're definitely testing stuff. Just I would, you know, why not? Why wouldn't they be doing the burn-in test, taking their profits while they can, or using your machines to make some money while they can before the profits tank, and then they're going to send them out, and then you guys will, you know, get the shit end of the stick. That would be my guess. But I don't think, even if these shut off, I don't think it's going to help you guys at all, because they're just going to turn other ones on. That's just my opinion. I don't think it's going to change. You know what? NXL. that Nexilia? Was that? Oh, what am I doing? Didn't mean to do that. I go to here. NXL. Nexilia, 1.6% up. You know what? Actually, was it? Oh god. Yeah, see, like this coin. Maybe it was Cedra. Cedra. This is a forecast, but both of them are. They're all fucking dead. They're all dead. Yeah, I don't know. Where was it? Serpent made a video. Caspa miners were more profitable. Well, apparently that aged like milk because it was on top of the charts the other day, or earlier. Actually, I thought it was earlier today. I swear I saw it. Maybe it was yesterday. I think it was Cedra was like more profitable than Caspa on the KS5. Wait a minute. Oh, I guess. All right, it's pretty close. What in the hell? I don't care. I'm using an older version. What in the hell just happened? All right, 94 bucks here. I guess pretty close. Pretty close. There's $101 over here on KS5. Yeah, it was Cedra. It was Cedra that was above it. So I mean, you're still making 97 bucks a day with Cedra. That's crazy. That's crazy. Insane. NXL. Yeah, NXL's. Oh, you mean the hash rate? Oh, my bad, my bad. I got you. I guess I can Google it. Let's see. Oh, they have this on. Oh, weird. I didn't know they had this on hashrate.nl. I guess I never looked. Wow, that's really low. Yeah, it's really low. Why are you saying to look at this, by the way? Just wondering. DMG coin is profitable on KSOs right now. DMG, what the hell is DMG? DMG. Genesis? That's not. Is it this one? Genesis Dimensions? Dimensional stones? What? That's not this. It's not this. That's not this. No way. That's not it. That's not what you're talking about. What the hell's DMG? Hold on. DMG. That's what you're saying. What the hell is DMG? Let's see. DMG. I have no idea what DMG is. Flux. I don't know how Flux is doing. We could look, actually. We could look at Flux. Crypto Cage is making shit up. Just kidding. Let me see. What are you showing me? What in the hell is this? What in the hell is this? I've never even seen this platform, by the way. DMGC. DMGC. Flux, 88 cents. That's a decent buying opportunity. Shit. Not a bad buying opportunity at all, actually. All right, DMGC, that's what it is. But yeah, no. Huh. I don't know. Crypto KJ, I don't even know what the hell this is. I have no idea. Yeah. No comment. No comment. Let me see what you guys are saying in the chat quick. It's really, really new. Not listed anywhere yet. Okay, I got you. It'll make sense. 1,000 flux for a small node. Yes. For a cumulus node is 1,000 flux. Yes, sir. Sure is. All right, let's see. What's the biggest earner on the week? And then we're gonna get out of here. I gotta get back to daddy duty. You guys know the deal. Looks like HNT is actually winning. Weird. 34% up on the day. Crazy. H bar is also up still. Kind of shocking. And this ran up over some FUD bullshit with BlackRock, which was somebody just spammed something and that was it. Anyways, let's see. How's it feel to have your own space? It's nice. It's nice to have this. This is the new studio. I still gotta figure it out. Like the lights are really like it's tough because the ceiling's black. I had drop ceiling in my other studio, so it's definitely different. But anyways, all right, guys, listen, love you all. Hopefully you guys have a happy and fantastic Monday. I got to get back to it. Hopefully you guys, again, have a good day. And yeah, if you have any questions or anything you want to talk about tomorrow, please leave it in the comments after the fact. And I'll catch you guys bright and early tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace out. Have a good day.